A single photograph can ignite 1,000 rumors. When the Prince and Princess of Wales stepped onto the red carpet at the 2024 BAFTAs, millions of eyes weren't just watching their designer outfits or gracious smiles. Body language experts, royal watchers, and curious observers worldwide were studying every subtle gesture, every fleeting glance, every seemingly innocent touch between the couple. What they discovered would spark debates that lasted weeks and reveal truths that even the most carefully managed royal PR couldn't hide. The Royal Festival Hall buzzed with anticipation as London's elite gathered for Britain's most prestigious film awards ceremony. Outside, photographers jostled for position behind metal barriers, their camera flashes creating a lightning storm of white light that could be seen from blocks away. The February evening carried a crisp chill that sent shivers through the crowd of onlookers who had waited hours just to catch a glimpse of their favorite celebrities. Dr. Miranda Hayes adjusted her glasses and pulled her coat tighter as she stood among the press photographers. Unlike the others around her, she wasn't there to capture the perfect red carpet shot. As one of Britain's leading body language experts, she had been commissioned by several major publications to analyze the unspoken communications between the evening's most anticipated arrivals. Her trained eye could detect the subtle signs that revealed true emotions beneath polished public facades. The crowd's energy shifted palpably when the distinctive royal motorcade approached. 3 black Range Rovers moved in perfect formation, their tinted windows offering no preview of the occupants within. Security personnel, nearly invisible in their dark suits, had already taken their positions along the carpet route. The atmosphere transformed from casual celebrity watching to something far more electric. "Here they come," whispered a seasoned royal photographer standing next to Dr. Hayes. His camera was already raised, motor drive ready to capture every millisecond of the royal arrival. The middle vehicle came to a smooth stop directly in front of the red carpet. For a moment, everything seemed frozen in time. The crowd held its collective breath. Even the most jaded entertainment journalists found themselves leaning forward, phones and notepads at the ready. The car door opened with practiced precision, and Prince William emerged first. His black tuxedo was immaculately tailored, not a thread out of place. But Dr. Hayes noticed something immediately that the casual observer might miss. The prince's shoulders carried a tension that spoke of recent stress. His jaw was set just a fraction tighter than usual, and his habitual smile seemed to require more conscious effort than in previous public appearances. William turned toward the car and extended his hand. This simple gesture, performed countless times at countless events, carried unusual significance tonight. Dr. Hayes observed the way his fingers moved, the angle of his wrist, the subtle pause before Catherine took his hand. These micro-moments revealed volumes about the state of their relationship that no official statement could convey. Catherine's emergence from the vehicle was, as always, a masterclass in royal composure. Her emerald green gown flowed like liquid silk, and her smile was radiant enough to power the photographer's flashes. But, Dr. Hayes caught the almost imperceptible hesitation before she accepted William's assistance, the briefest moment where her eyes searched his face before settling into her public expression. The couple stood together on the red carpet, and the crowd erupted in cheers. "Catherine! William! Over here!" The shouts came from every direction as photographers fought for the perfect angle. The royal couple moved with choreographed precision, each step carefully measured, each pause timed to allow maximum photographic opportunities. Dr. Hayes began her mental notes immediately. The distance between them as they walked was precisely calibrated. Not close enough to suggest intimate conversation, but not so far as to appear disconnected. William's hand rested lightly on the small of Catherine's back, a gesture that appeared supportive but lasted exactly 3 seconds before being withdrawn. These weren't accidents or unconscious movements. This was the body language of 2 people acutely aware of being watched and analyzed. "Their synchronization is remarkable," Dr. Hayes murmured into her digital recorder. "But there's a rehearsed quality that suggests recent coaching or discussion about public presentation." As they paused for photographs, Catherine's training in public relations became evident. Her posture was perfect, her smile never wavered, and her eyes held just the right amount of warmth to appear genuine without seeming overly familiar. But William's behavior told a different story. His smile, while present, didn't quite reach his eyes. His glances toward Catherine came in measured intervals, as if checking for cues rather than sharing spontaneous moments of connection. The couple moved through the standard red carpet routine with professional efficiency. They stopped at designated photo opportunities, turned slightly to accommodate different camera angles, and maintained conversation that appeared natural but was clearly calculated for lip readers and long-lens photographers. Every gesture was performed with the precision of actors who had rehearsed their roles extensively. Dr. Hayes noticed how Catherine's hand movements became more animated when she spoke directly to William, while his responses were more controlled, more measured. This created an interesting dynamic where she appeared to be drawing him into warmer interaction while he maintained a more reserved demeanor. The contrast wasn't dramatic enough to suggest conflict, but it hinted at different comfort levels with their current public situation. The supporting cast around them moved like a well-oiled machine. Private secretaries hovered just outside camera range, ready to step in if needed. Security personnel maintained their invisible presence while ensuring optimal positioning for both safety and photo opportunities. The entire operation demonstrated the sophisticated machinery that supports every royal public appearance. As they progressed toward the venue entrance, Dr. Hayes observed a fascinating interplay of micro-expressions. Catherine's genuine laughter at something William said lasted perhaps half a second longer than necessary, suggesting an effort to project happiness and connection. William's response was more controlled, his smile appearing and disappearing with almost mechanical precision. The most telling moment came when a slight breeze caught Catherine's gown. William's immediate reaction was to step closer, his hand moving automatically toward her elbow to provide stability. But he caught himself mid-motion, the gesture becoming instead a hovering hand that didn't quite make contact. This split-second hesitation revealed volumes about their current dynamic. Dr. Hayes had analyzed hundreds of couples in high-pressure situations, and she recognized the signs of a relationship under extraordinary scrutiny. Every touch, every glance, every shared smile carried the weight of public expectation and media interpretation. The pressure to appear perfect, united, and blissfully happy created its own form of stress that inevitably influenced natural behavior. The crowd's energy remained high throughout their red carpet appearance, but Dr. Hayes detected subtle changes in the royal couple's demeanor as time progressed. Catherine's smile became slightly more fixed, requiring more conscious maintenance. William's posture straightened almost imperceptibly, a sign of increasing tension despite his outward calm. Their interaction with waiting media was brief but professionally handled. They paused for a few carefully selected interviews, answered predetermined questions with well-rehearsed responses, and maintained the perfect balance of accessibility and mystery that royal protocol demanded. But Dr. Hayes noticed how their positions relative to each other remained constant throughout, suggesting prior discussion about optimal presentation. As they finally moved toward the entrance, Dr. Hayes captured one last crucial observation. William held the door for Catherine, a courteous gesture that appeared natural but was performed with almost military precision. Catherine's thank you was accompanied by a brief touch on his arm, lasting exactly long enough to be photographed but not long enough to suggest intimate familiarity. The red carpet portion of their evening concluded with the same professional efficiency with which it began. They disappeared into the venue, leaving behind a crowd of photographers already reviewing their shots and a body language expert with enough material to analyze for hours. Dr. Hayes packed her equipment, her mind already processing the numerous micro-moments she had witnessed. The evening had provided a fascinating glimpse into the complex dynamics of a relationship lived entirely in the public eye, where every natural human interaction was filtered through layers of protocol, expectation, and intense scrutiny. Inside the Royal Festival Hall, the atmosphere transformed from the chaotic energy of the red carpet to the more refined buzz of Britain's entertainment elite. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over circular tables adorned with pristine white linens and elaborate floral centerpieces. The subtle clink of champagne glasses mixed with the low hum of sophisticated conversation as guests found their assigned seats. Dr. Hayes had secured a position in the media gallery where she could observe the royal table without obstruction. From her vantage point, she could analyze the couple's behavior during the more relaxed portions of the evening when they believed the intense scrutiny had diminished. These moments often revealed the most authentic interactions, when carefully maintained public facades began to show small cracks. The Prince and Princess of Wales were seated at a prominent table near the stage, surrounded by a carefully selected group that included film industry executives, fellow patrons of the arts, and other members of the cultural establishment. The seating arrangement itself told a story. William and Catherine sat adjacent rather than directly across from each other, a positioning that allowed for private conversation while maintaining optimal visibility for the cameras that would periodically sweep their table. As the evening's program began with opening remarks from the ceremony's hosts, Dr. Hayes noticed immediately how differently the couple responded to humor. Catherine's laughter appeared genuine and spontaneous, her head tilting slightly toward the stage and her eyes crinkling with authentic amusement. William's responses were more measured, his chuckles timed and controlled, as if he were constantly aware of being observed and analyzed. During the first commercial break, the cameras panned across celebrity tables, and Dr. Hayes watched the royal couple's transformation when they realized they were being filmed. The change was subtle but unmistakable. Catherine's posture straightened slightly, her smile became more deliberate, and she turned toward William with renewed attentiveness. William's response was equally calculated, leaning toward her with apparent interest while maintaining the perfect angle for photography. The performance anxiety is palpable, Dr. Hayes noted quietly. They're constantly switching between private and public modes, which creates an underlying tension that affects their natural interaction patterns. When the cameras moved away, both visibly relaxed, but not completely. The awareness of potential observation never fully disappeared. Catherine's hand movements became more natural, her gestures less carefully controlled. William's shoulders dropped almost imperceptibly, but his vigilance remained evident in the way his eyes occasionally swept the room, checking for photographers or anyone who might be watching too intently. The most revealing moments came during the film clips and acceptance speeches. When emotional tributes played on the large screens, Dr. Hayes observed genuine reactions that bypassed their usual filters. Catherine's eyes welled up during a particularly moving tribute to a deceased actor, and, for those few seconds, her response was completely authentic. William's hand moved instinctively toward hers, a natural comfort gesture that stopped halfway when he seemed to remember their public setting. This aborted gesture became a recurring pattern throughout the evening. Natural impulses toward connection and comfort were consistently interrupted by awareness of their public role. The result was a series of incomplete interactions that suggested warmth and care but never fully delivered on their promise. During dinner service, their conversation appeared animated and engaged from a distance, but Dr. Hayes could detect the underlying structure. Catherine did most of the talking, her expressions more varied and spontaneous. William listened attentively but responded with shorter contributions, as if conserving energy for the demands of public interaction. This dynamic suggested a relationship where one partner was working harder to maintain connection and atmosphere. The seating arrangement also created interesting challenges. When other guests at their table engaged them in conversation, William and Catherine had to coordinate their responses without appearing to confer or seek approval from each other. Dr. Hayes watched them navigate these interactions with practiced skill, but the effort required was evident in subtle signs of fatigue that accumulated throughout the evening. A particularly telling moment occurred when a young actor approached their table during another break, clearly nervous about meeting royalty. Catherine immediately shifted into what Dr. Hayes recognized as her professional warmth mode, leaning forward slightly, making direct eye contact, and using open gestures to put the visitor at ease. William's response was equally professional but more formal, maintaining greater physical distance and using his practiced public smile rather than showing genuine warmth. The contrast in their approaches to unexpected interactions revealed different comfort levels with spontaneous public engagement. Catherine seemed energized by these moments, while William appeared to find them draining, though he handled them with perfect propriety. As the ceremony progressed and awards were announced, Dr. Hayes noted how their applause patterns differed subtly. Catherine clapped with more variation in rhythm and intensity, responding naturally to different levels of excitement or appreciation. William's applause was more consistent, maintaining the same tempo and duration regardless of his personal feelings about the winner or performance. During a particularly lengthy acceptance speech that was testing the audience's patience, Dr. Hayes caught a micro-expression that revealed volumes about their private dynamic. Catherine glanced toward William with a barely visible eye roll, a moment of shared exasperation that lasted less than a second. William's response was the slightest upturn at the corner of his mouth, acknowledging her sentiment while maintaining his public composure. This brief exchange was the most natural interaction Dr. Hayes had observed all evening. For one unguarded moment, they had connected as a couple sharing a private joke rather than as public figures performing their roles. The authenticity of the moment made its rarity all the more significant. The evening's fashion choices also contributed to the body language story. Catherine's emerald gown required careful management throughout the seated portions of the event. Dr. Hayes observed how she constantly made small adjustments to maintain modesty and elegance, gestures that had become so automatic they appeared unconscious. William's formal wear presented fewer challenges, but his frequent adjustment of his cufflinks suggested nervous energy that needed physical outlet. Their interaction with waitstaff provided another window into their private personas. Catherine thanked servers with direct eye contact and genuine smiles, treating service personnel with the same courtesy she showed to celebrity guests. William was equally polite but more formal, maintaining appropriate distance while ensuring proper acknowledgement of service. When the ceremony moved into its final hour, signs of fatigue became more apparent despite their professional training. Catherine's smile required more conscious maintenance, and William's posture became slightly more rigid as he worked to maintain alertness and engagement. The sustained performance of public perfection was taking its toll. Dr. Hayes noted how they began to rely more heavily on each other as the evening wore on. Catherine's glances toward William became more frequent, as if checking for his energy levels and emotional state. William's responses to her unspoken questions became more immediate, suggesting a private communication system developed through years of public appearances. The most significant observation came during the final award presentation. As the ceremony approached its conclusion and the pressure to maintain perfect appearances began to ease slightly, both William and Catherine showed signs of relief that were barely perceptible but unmistakable to a trained observer. Their shoulders relaxed fractionally, their smiles became less forced, and their interaction with each other gained a touch more naturalness. As guests began to prepare for departure, the royal couple's exit strategy became evident. They remained seated while others moved around them, avoiding the crush and maintaining their composure until the optimal moment for departure. This careful timing demonstrated the meticulous planning that governed every aspect of their public appearances. The evening had provided Dr. Hayes with a comprehensive view of a relationship under extraordinary pressure. Every natural human impulse was filtered through layers of protocol, expectation, and intense scrutiny. The result was a carefully orchestrated performance that maintained appropriate dignity while hinting at the genuine connection beneath the surface. As the ceremony concluded and guests began their departures, Dr. Hayes prepared for the final phase of her analysis. The departure process would provide the last crucial observations about how William and Catherine managed the transition from public performance back to private life, even knowing that cameras would follow them every step of the way. The departure phase of any royal engagement often reveals the most authentic glimpses of personality, when the structured formality of the main event gives way to the transitional moments before returning to private life. Dr. Hayes positioned herself strategically to observe this crucial final act of the evening's performance. As the ceremony concluded and guests began their exodus, William and Catherine remained seated momentarily, allowing the initial rush to subside. This pause served multiple purposes. It avoided undignified crowding, maintained their elevated status, and provided a brief respite from the constant performance demands. Dr. Hayes noted how they used these precious seconds differently. Catherine straightened items on the table unnecessarily, a displacement behavior suggesting she was processing the evening's emotional demands. William checked his watch twice within 30 seconds, indicating impatience to conclude the public portion of their evening. When they finally stood to leave, the subtle choreography of their departure began. Catherine gathered her small evening bag with practiced efficiency while William smoothly moved to her side. His hand found the small of her back in a gesture that appeared supportive but was positioned precisely for optimal photographic angles. Dr. Hayes observed how Catherine leaned into this touch slightly more than earlier in the evening, suggesting she genuinely needed the emotional support after hours of public performance. Their progress through the departing crowd provided fascinating insights into their individual coping mechanisms. Catherine continued her pattern of making genuine eye contact with people who spoke to them, even as their security detail tried to maintain movement toward the exit. Her need to connect authentically with others seemed to energize rather than drain her. William's approach was more efficient, acknowledging greetings with professional warmth while keeping their forward progress steady and purposeful. The most revealing moment came when they encountered a minor obstacle. A group of enthusiastic film students had positioned themselves near the exit, hoping for a final photo opportunity. The students' excitement was genuine but created a bottleneck that threatened to slow their carefully timed departure. Dr. Hayes watched as William's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, his patience clearly tested after hours of public engagement. Catherine's reaction was markedly different. She immediately engaged with the students, asking about their studies and showing authentic interest in their aspirations. Her energy seemed to increase rather than diminish when faced with this unexpected interaction. William followed her lead but, with visible effort, his professional smile masking what Dr. Hayes recognized as genuine fatigue. The contrast in their responses to unscripted moments revealed fundamental differences in how they processed public engagement. Catherine appeared to draw energy from connecting with people, while William seemed to find such interactions depleting, despite handling them with perfect propriety. As they finally approached the exit, their security team intensified around them, creating a protective bubble that signaled the transition from public event to private departure. Dr. Hayes noted how this change in environment immediately affected their body language. Catherine's posture remained largely unchanged, but William's shoulders visibly relaxed as the immediate pressure of constant observation began to ease. The walk from the venue to their waiting car provided the evening's most natural moments. Away from the structured seating and formal presentations, their movement became more fluid and synchronized. William's hand remained supportively on Catherine's back, but the gesture now served practical purposes as her evening gown required careful navigation of steps and uneven surfaces. Dr. Hayes observed a moment of genuine intimacy when Catherine briefly stumbled on the uneven pavement outside the venue. William's immediate response was swift and instinctive, his arm wrapping around her waist to provide stability before conscious thought could engage. Catherine's grateful smile and brief squeeze of his arm in return represented the most authentic interaction Dr. Hayes had witnessed all evening. The recovery from this small incident revealed much about their private dynamic. They shared a moment of genuine laughter at the near mishap, their first truly spontaneous emotional connection of the evening. The laughter lasted only seconds before professional composure returned, but those few moments showed the real couple beneath the public personas. As they reached their waiting vehicle, the final phase of Dr. Hayes' analysis began. The car departure represented the ultimate transition from public to private space, and the couple's behavior in these last moments under scrutiny would reveal how successfully they had managed the evening's demands. William opened Catherine's car door personally, a gesture that might seem old-fashioned but served important symbolic purposes. It demonstrated his protective instincts while maintaining the chivalrous image that royal protocol demanded. Catherine's acceptance of this assistance was gracious but efficient, her movements showing the accumulated fatigue of maintaining perfect posture and demeanor for hours. Before entering the vehicle, both turned for a final acknowledgement of the gathered photographers and remaining onlookers. This moment provided Dr. Hayes with crucial insights into their individual methods of disengaging from public performance. Catherine's wave was warm and inclusive, maintaining her connection with the crowd until the last possible moment. William's gesture was more formal, a practiced royal wave that fulfilled protocol requirements while clearly signaling the conclusion of public access. The speed with which they entered their vehicle once these final courtesies were complete spoke volumes about their eagerness to escape the constant observation. Dr. Hayes noted how their movements became noticeably less controlled once they believed they were no longer visible to cameras, though they undoubtedly remained aware that long-range lenses might still capture their interactions inside the car. As their motorcade pulled away from the venue, Dr. Hayes began processing the evening's observations. The complexity of maintaining a marriage under such intense scrutiny had been evident in every interaction she had witnessed. The constant balance between authentic connection and public performance created a unique set of challenges that few couples ever face. The recurring pattern throughout the evening had been one of interrupted intimacy. Natural impulses toward connection and comfort were consistently mediated by awareness of their public role. This created a relationship dynamic where spontaneous affection became calculated gesture, where private jokes became public performances, and where genuine emotion was filtered through layers of protocol and expectation. Dr. Hayes reflected on the subtle signs of strain she had observed. The slight tension in William's shoulders throughout the evening, Catherine's increasing reliance on displacement behaviors during stressful moments, and their shared look of relief as the ceremony concluded all pointed to the significant emotional labor required by their public roles. Yet there had also been genuine moments of connection. The shared eye roll during the lengthy acceptance speech, Catherine's natural lean into William's supportive touch, and their spontaneous laughter after her minor stumble all demonstrated that authentic affection and partnership existed beneath the carefully managed public presentation. The evening had revealed a couple working hard to maintain both their relationship and their public image, not always successfully balancing the competing demands. Their individual responses to stress and public engagement showed different coping mechanisms and energy patterns that could either complement or challenge their partnership depending on the circumstances. Perhaps most significantly, Dr. Hayes had observed two people who clearly understood their roles and responsibilities while struggling with the human cost of constant performance. Their professional competence at public engagement was undeniable, but the effort required was evident to anyone trained to recognize the signs. As she packed her equipment and prepared to leave, Dr. Hayes considered how her analysis would be received. The public's fascination with royal body language stemmed from a desire to glimpse the real people beneath the crowns and titles. What she had witnessed was both more and less dramatic than public speculation might suggest. The truth was more complex than simple relationship troubles or perfect royal harmony. It was the story of two people navigating an extraordinary life under extraordinary circumstances, finding ways to maintain both their partnership and their sanity while fulfilling roles that demanded constant perfection. The BAFTA evening had provided a window into this complex reality, revealing not scandal or crisis, but the daily challenge of being authentically human while living as public symbols. The real drama was not in hidden conflicts or secret tensions, but in the remarkable effort required to maintain grace, dignity, and genuine connection under the weight of endless scrutiny and expectation. Dr. Hayes' final assessment would focus not on what the evening revealed about potential problems, but on what it demonstrated about resilience, partnership, and the remarkable capacity of two individuals to fulfill roles that demanded nothing less than perfection while remaining recognizably, relatably human.